Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening if you're watching. This is Middle African Diaspora TV. Welcome to Biafra Today. This is essentially a program where we discuss social and political issues as well as cultural issues affecting the life of Biafrans home and abroad. Today we would like to talk about the strife between Mazi Uche Mefor and Nnamdi Kanu, or the rest of Biafran IPOB. The Biafran restoration agitation was led by two prominent personalities of Biafran land, namely Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Mazi Uche Mefor. However, it seems that the duo of Uche Mefor and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has come to an end, because we saw Mazi Uche Mefor go on air and criticize not only his spurious way of handling issues, but also other methodology of the IPOB association. The central point of Mefor's argument seems to be that Biafran restoration is based on human rights and egalitarianism, and that the IPOB has deviated from this course. On the one hand, Mazi Mefor has pointed out in his broadcast in recent days that he continued to support the agitation of the restoration of Biafra. On the other hand, he has come out openly and criticized Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's approach, especially that of the human rights, and say that he will not continue to support him, hence he deviated from these human rights issues. People have taken the talks of Mefor against the IPOB leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and other high-ranking personalities as a clear indication that Mazi Mefor has broken with the IPOB, thus joining the series of other sabotage like Asari, Dokugbo. To discuss this issue with me, I have here in studio Mazi George Ndubisi and Mazi Andy Duru. Mazi George Ndubisi, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Mazi Andy Duru, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So, I would like to start with you, Mazi George. The question is whether you believe we can say that Mazi Mefor reserved the right to go out public and criticize the methodology of his superior and even or the IPOB approach, or can we say that his action so far is a clear indication that he has jettisoned the struggle?
Thank you very much. If I have to start this way, I would say that the fundamental Igbo philosophy says that an individual is entitled to his or her own opinion. Uchonya de anjo, the way we used to say it in Igbo phrase. Having said that, the situation at hand now requires a bit of calculation, a bit of thinking, a bit of, principled action from whoever, be it Uche Mefor, be it Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, or indeed prominent members of this Biafran movement. Uche Mefor, to my own view, has not done it entirely well. I was kind of thinking, could it be that the beast he let out from the cage is now back to haunt him? Because over the period of time, throughout the struggle, we have been confronted with this dismissal and sadly labeling one of our own saboteurs at random. It doesn't actually augur well with me. I don't see it as a good principle, but then it has just happened with Uche. Uche has been at the top of affairs, has also been one of senior cabinets that we know to have dismissed members and kept silent or kept mute when
Others are dismissed.
The common man is all of a sudden turned to a known Biafran agitator as a saboteur. So in this very case now, what I see in Uche Mefor, though is deep-rooted, but that is not actually the way he is supposed to do it. The stake is high, we have a common enemy, and it's always good for us to unite as a people. When a cobweb unites, they can tie down a lion. If we continue to dismiss and label as a saboteur whoever does not agree with our mode of, operandi, it's not going to take us anywhere.
So, in essence, you think that Mefor has not done well by going so far in the public to criticize the methodology of IPOB, despite the fact that, because his central point is that he has been labeled sabotage by the IPOB members, and Nnamdi Kanu has witnessed this, and Nnamdi Kanu is aware of it, and he's never done anything to stop that.
Yes, that is. Yeah,
so this is one of his explanation. So he then maintains state that the IPOB platform has been used so far as a means to demean his personality.
Yes.
And that he is just here to redeem his image. He is using the same means, that is the same public means used by IPOB, okay, to castigate him, to redeem his image. Now, I want to understand, is it a way of handling issues? Is it a proper way to handle issue? Can two wrongs make one? Igbo language said, alada imadinabon. So, is it correct? Can we say that because he has been, he has been called or labeled sabotage publicly by the IPOB members or by some IPOB members, that he reserved the right to go to the public and criticize the same organization which he is the deputy? That is a question I want. That's one thing I want our viewers to understand. Is it correct for somebody to do such? And if it is not correct, why? Because he is a human being. He has feeling. We can understand that. But the question is, what is the consequences of his action? His action has consequences. Anything he as a deputy says has consequences. So what do you think?
Okay. I want to first and foremost salute everyone, and the issue that has to do with Uche Mefor and IPOB, I wouldn't say Mazi Nnamdi Kanu precisely now, because I think it is Uche Mefor versus IPOB, which Nnamdi Kanu happens to be the leader, and him formerly the deputy. Because as we are talking now, there's this ongoing view that he had resigned.
Yes.
So if he had resigned, we should be talking about him in the past with IPOB. The truth of the matter is, as humans, it's usually very difficult to, you see, people who kill by sword and who kill by guns, it's usually very difficult for them to accept to be killed by the same gun or by the same sword with which they use always in killing, in killing or killings. We have so very many of them. Somebody like Samuel Doe, in all what he was doing and all that, when he was captured and about to be killed and all that, you see him pleading, somebody like anyway, that's a different. That's on a little bit. It's just an analogy. I try to buttress this fact that like the words being said in Igbo. So the issue is Uche Mefor have actually not done it. He actually went overboard.
Okay.
Premier facie issue there is that Uche Mefor has been an integral member of IPOB. He's been one of those straightening out or bringing out sledgehammers on other prominent members, other top high-ranking members, by bringing them to a fore, or bringing them having them being ostracized, having them being orchestrated, and the rest of them. Now that it has come to his turn, the ball has turned around to meet him. You remember there was one broadcast made by this Iruanya, Clifford Iruanya.
Yes.
I think at the beginning of this year, if I'm not mistaken, Clifford Iruanya was there openly, talking against same Uche Mefor. That Uche Mefor is not even qualified to be a deputy. He was not even talking about Nnamdi Kanu. He was talking about Uche Mefor, that he wasn't even qualified to be a deputy. That he doesn't even know anything. He's this, he's that, he's that, he's that. But did that bother IPOB? No, it didn't bother IPOB, because this is a struggle. And in a struggle, everybody is striving to get to the top, because there's a place we are going to. While in the advent of this striving, you see people falling off. They will continue to fall off until the few number of them that we get to that top will be the people meritoriously say we have fought a good fight. The issue is, if you are a member, this is the reason why you see in like those days while we're in the universities, you see we have different type of courts or organizations. They see them as courts. You see them as courts. There are oaths of secrecy. There are things that holds every organization, even countries, even to every organization, even in partnership, even in business. There are form of secrecy that keeps a company running, that keeps a business going. A business, the moment the business is beyond one man and the wife, even with a man and the wife, there must be some kind of secrecy between them that should
not be revealed.
Ordinarily, must remain inside.
Yeah.
Whether they are dying, whether they are getting it right or getting it wrong, this secrecy remains inside and must be handled inside. If you go by certain videos flying all around this time and several interviews, you will come to realize very well that Uche Mefor did not play any good role.
Okay, now the question, I mean, both of you guys are basically saying the same thing, that it is not.
He has not done it.
He has not done it well, that he goes in the public and discuss the issue about IPOB as though he has not been a member of the organization. One thing, though, is that the issue of subordination plays a role in the whole discussion. Uche Mefor, in his statement, makes clear that in several occasions, or in many occasions, he is of differing opinion with Nnamdi Kanu's ideas, such as his claim that Buhari is dead, or the issue of religion. This one point he keep mentioning in his recent broadcast. He has continued to emphasize on the fact that the IPOB organization is used as a platform to bully people, to criticize religion, and that he's grown up being a Christian and he finds nothing wrong about it. The question, though, is that I want to know, is this reason, can somebody say that this is a reason for him to go out in the public, or can we think, is it possible to assume that there is ulterior motive, that Is there any some other things behind his action? Because a lot of people is suggesting that he has been, yes, this is an insinuation, but who knows that he has been bribed by the British or whatsoever to bring IPOB down. And let me just say this: I'm not saying this is the fact. I mean, these are just insinuations. But if you have listened to some of his statements, it's like he is prepared to fight IPOB or to fight Nnamdi Kanu. He is very well prepared. He is not taking it lightly. If you have listened to his
of course I have.
Yeah, his
of course I have.
Broadcast written this.
Yes. Having established the fact that Uche Mefor handled it bad, he did not play his card well. We now have to understand why did he do that? Has it been so much pushed to the wall that he has no other alternative?
Yeah.
Now, as a captain, or one of the captain in this ship, just like my colleague has just said, there must be a secret that is supposed to remain secret among families, among establishments, among companies. Now, how could it be that Uche Mefor, of all people, will come to the social network and start lambasting the leader or indeed members of the movement? One thing I have to point out is that it's not a bad sin. I mean, it's not a good sin. It's not a good idea for a Radio Biafra platform to be used, instead of fighting for our cause, to be castigating individuals. I see it as, those in charge have also not played their card well. When I hear people calling Uche Mefor saboteurs and all the rest of them, no matter what he has done, if we don't have any proof yet, it's not a blank check
so they
for
should
anybody for anybody to go into the open
and call him sabotage.
Call Uche Mefor a saboteur.
Yeah.
Personally, if I have to be honest with you, from my personal point of view, I don't want to believe that Uche Mefor has compromised or has sold out the struggle.
But how then is it possible to reconcile justice with the fact that he has actually criticized the same methodology in which he is, he has actually contributed in producing.
Yes.
And then by so doing, he tries to remove himself from the responsibility. And again, I am not saying that he has done anything wrong as such, but I think that something is fishy about the whole thing. That is the point I'm trying to drive home right now. Because it is not appropriate for him to start saying that he has he has a responsibility to the British government. He has the responsibility to make sure that law and order is expressed by the IPOB, or that they maintain law and order. That IPOB have violated this law.
That is to me nonsense, because that was the method he had abided.
That's what I'm saying. Now,
all over the years.
Now, if somebody just somehow get out of board and start, castigating the same organization in which, don't you think that something deep is taking place? This is why people have called him his action sabotage,
yes.
And or call him saboteur. But like you said, it is not quite well for people to jump to the conclusion that he is saboteur. But do you know that sometimes what people interpret is not necessarily random. No, it's not doesn't just come from random point. It is your action that transports the meaning people see in what they say.
Sure, you're right.
Having said this, I would want to make another point before going to a very important thing that which has to do with the source of all this problem, because we are in a process. The process is getting Biafra as a state, restoration of Biafra, and out of a sudden, you see somebody who has been the chief of the organization,
the captain,
dancing away from the tune of the music. So it's quite disturbing. The question will then be, where does all these things come from? Because we've had it during the Ojukwu and Zik era, and it is coming back again. What do you think is the reason for the repetition of story? It's like a kind of repetition. Something is repeating itself. It's quite uncanny.
Yeah, much like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will always say sometimes in his broadcast. I usually take my time listening to him because he's very, very articulate in expressions. He will always say, where histories are not well handled, these histories are bound to repeat itself. And if you're saying that this thing happened in a time of our
transition,
able leader, Dim, and with Nnamdi Azikiwe and the rest of them, it's sort of a history trying to repeat itself again. If we go by reminiscing on this, you need to find out that it has become very, very imperative that we nip these things at the bud to be able to find out and ask ourselves, because it looks like there's an Igbo adage that says "Arụrụ ala n'ọgba afọ, ọwọ omenala."
Yes,
sure.
When an evil stays beyond a period, it becomes a norm. It becomes a tradition. Yeah. The issue I find out with Mazi Uche Mefor is this: when you say there are insinuations, there are different rumors flying all around that he's been compromised, every of his actions and inactions dictates the fact that Uche Mefor has been compromised. I am one of the fans of Uche Mefor, but we must say it the way it is.
The way it is, yes.
And this way that it is, brought me no board by my own, I don't know what to call it. Do I call it insinuation yet? By my own self-assertion, I believe Uche has been compromised. Remember that in this struggle, every of these things Uche Mefor is coming out now to say, IPOB has compromised, IPOB did that, IPOB did this and all that. These were the course of actions that IPOB has been putting up to the forwards that have actually brought them to this level. That have actually paid Uche Mefor, because he was one of the principal officers that were being paid by IPOB. That actually kept him, fed him, kept him up to this level. So how come it is now, he is realizing now that all of a sudden that these ways have been compromised.
They lack justice.
Let us not forget in a hurry that part of our struggle is also against the British. The British, because the fundamental problem that we have today, the primary cause of it are the British. So if Uche Mefor we all of a sudden sleep and rise up from another side of the bed and begin to say IPOB, he has the responsibility. What responsibility? Which responsibility? Uche Mefor has sat so many times before the Radio Biafra to say that if you don't believe in what IPOB believe and all that, you will be removed.
You will be removed.
You will be removed. So how come it's come to this time? It's now that he is realizing that these things are not working according to the dictums of what IPOB, human rights or against human rights. What is his definition of human rights? That is the issue. But ask me, Uche Mefor has been compromised.
Okay.
If people say he has taken money, I accept that. If people said because every of these things geared at one thing, that in this struggle, so many will fall by the wayside, and this is the time of Uche Mefor. But now he doesn't want to use the sledgehammer that he used on other people. That is the problem.
Okay. Now we are almost coming to the end of our discussion. Before we close, I want to mention one. I want to ask you one question, because you mentioned about you said it's correct that I don't know if it is what you said. That's what I want to. I need a clarification.
Okay.
Are you saying that it's correct for the IPOB to use the platform of IPOB to discuss religion as it's been done? Because this is one of the points, major points, which in the folk criticize. What do you think about that? Is it correct for IPOB to use that platform to talk about religion? Because Uche Mefor emphasized on it seriously that people have been bullied, a lot of people have been inboxed, criticized, castigated because of their religion, and religion is a personal issue, and people should not take it for granted. And IPOB have been doing that.
Well, I will certainly not advocate for IPOB platforms to be used as, a means. Religion, a means of propagating faith or religion. For one reason or the other, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu brought a religious issue into the struggle. And from day one, from the onset, it became a sort of, a stabilizing factor to the struggle. Now, Uche Mefor is a staunch Catholic. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is now dancing towards Judaism. Somebody like me are born traditionally.
He said he's a Christian.
Uche Mefor, right? Uche Mefor is a Christian, a Roman Catholic adherent. Nnamdi Kanu on his own side is leaning towards Judaism. People like me are born again traditionalists. We've decided to go back to African spirituality. So when we bring religious matter into the Biafran agitation, you see that walls of division is, directly or indirectly coming to our door. So Uche Mefor has been seriously kicking against anybody saying anything about his, article of faith. Me on my own side is protecting my identity. Nnamdi Kanu, for whatever reason, is leaning towards Judaism. So it is completely, a destabilizing factor to bring religion into Biafran agitation.
Okay, I think you have one.
Yes. Whenever issue of religion comes and it's actually awakens my curiosity. Yes. The truth of the matter is that I also remain a Christian. I am a Christian. I am a member of IPOB. I am a Biafran freedom fighter, a born one for that matter, because my father was a Biafran what are they called? Veteran, and he is still alive till today. Now, the issue that has to do with religion, we discovered that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, like you said, my brother, was at a time leaning towards Judaism, but his parents were also Catholic and Anglicans, meaning they were Christians. He was also a born Christian, growing up and leaning towards Judaism. Judaism is also more like a Christian religion, but that believes in a fashion of faith. Now, what was actually the problem? I noticed the problem of Uche Mefor. Extremism to anything is very, very bad.
Sure.
I am a born-again Christian. In fact, I worship in Assemblies of God. I am a born Catholic, but became an Assemblies of God member, and I worship where I got married, and up to date I still remain a Pentecostal Christian. But it's anything that will take my freedom fighting away, or anything that will be a staunch to my cause of fighting for freedom, it will never be accepted by me. The problem with Uche Mefor is that he is crying, or he's trying to behave to be more bishop than even the Catholics.
The bishop himself.
Yes, or than the bishop himself. Okay. Because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in one of his broadcasts openly criticized all the church leaders over their docility, became a problem for Uche Mefor. It shows that there is something sinister fishing.
Okay, very interesting. You guys, I think you've brought this topic to a very high level by shedding light into the discussion. Another thing that concerns us is like the question. I've asked the question: Where did all this thing come from?
Very good question.
Because we can be discussing Uche Mefor and Nnamdi Kanu and this and that without going to the root of our problem. It is irrelevant. I mean, it's inconsequential. So I think that the question one should ask is, where did this distraction, what is the motivation? What pushed Uche Mefor to put his fate before his quest for freedom? What is the motivation behind that? You want to say something?
Yeah, of course I have.
Okay, let me just land. I will say this. I'm going to say that it is perhaps the indoctrination of the colonization. I'm seeing this as one of the prominent problems we have. British colonization is not just a means of exploiting us, especially the Biafrans, economically, but also culturally. And I think that in as much as British colonization or the colonization of Africa is concerned, what what colonization did to us is irreparable. And then this is the aftermath or the repercussion the after effect of this colonization. And the question is no longer how can we what Uche Mefor, if what he did is wrong or what any other person said is bad, but how can we amend these issues? How can we put smile once again in the face of Mama Africa? How can we restore the glory of Biafra? And I think the Biafran agitation is one way to restore this glory. And if somebody did not understand what Biafran agitation means, it's one of the meaning is that we are trying to restore the glory taken away by the colonial master. So this is what I'm going to say about this. I would want to hear from you what you think.
Thank you very much. That is actually a very interesting question, and one which every African need to confront. Somehow they have kind of erased the history of the mother continent out of the textbook, out of the classrooms, and indeed to an extent out of our consciousness. When we want to fight this problem, we must first of all understand how it started.
Yeah.
For a very long period of time, the black man went a long way with white man's miseducation.
And miss his destiny.
And in the course of that journey, we walked out of who we are, out of our identity, and we lose focus.
Thank you.
Entirely.
This is essentially where we would like to stop today, and we are going to continue next time exactly with this discussion. How can we restore our dignity, our identity that has been destroyed through colonization? How do we stop saboteurs that came up as a result of people not understanding?
Or how do we erase walls of division?
Okay.
Divisive nomenclature.
Because when we talk of Christianity, Judaism, Pentecostalism, and all the rest of them. We tend to struggle to belong to one of these so-called cults, whereas all of them were forced on us in the first place.
Exactly. So, nice discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. And we continue, as I said, we'll continue here next time. And please subscribe to our YouTube, and so that you will be notified anytime we have a new video. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah.